Hey everybody, this is Martin from Latour de Plants, and today I am repairing the area where a water bottle pulled out of the frame, and I'm going to reinstall it on a carbon frame so we can see what's going on here. If you watch my other video, I showed how I actually repaired the carbon. So I laid up the fiber, put on the resin and let it dry for about a week actually, and then sanded it down. So repaired this area here, and there's still one Riv-Nut there, so what I actually need to do is to install a second Riv-Nut. That's what these are called. Let me show you the components that I'm using, the tools and all that stuff. Okay, this little piece here is called a Riv-Nut. And it's a little piece of aluminum, it's threaded inside, and it's designed kind of like a rivet so that as it's compressed here, it will expand and then it will stay inside of the tube or whatever it's being compressed against. So that's a Riv-Nut. Works like a kind of a cross between a rivet and a nut because it's threaded. I got a couple of them. I've installed these before, and it takes a little practice to get used to it. So if you're first time you're doing it, you might want to practice on a sheet of scrap metal or something like that rather than on your actual frame. Because if you screw up on the Riv-Nut and it drops down inside the frame, it's next to impossible to retrieve it. So that's one issue. Anyway, those are the Riv-Nuts. I bought them on eBay, a 10-pack for like 10 bucks. This is an installation tool that I made. It's a flat handle, metal handle, and I drilled a hole in it just the size of the screw that is needed. This is the screw that has the same threads that matches the Riv-Nut. So the Riv-Nut will go inside the tube. All right, my handle will go right on top of it, and then this screw will go down into the Riv-Nut, and as it pulls it up against the handle, it will compress it inside the frame. All right, then all I have to do is remove the screw and the Riv-Nut is good to go. And in order to do that, I use a power driver with an Allen key on it. You could do it by hand or with a ratchet or whatever you want, but that's what I use. And in order to get the Riv-Nut in, we're going to have to drill a hole. So I'm going to use a small bit to put a pilot hole in very delicately, and then the bit that's about the same size as the Riv-Nut. This is actually a little smaller than the Riv-Nut, so I'll try it several times, gently making the hole just a touch bigger until it fits in there perfectly. You definitely don't want the hole to be too big, then the Riv-Nut won't stay in there very well. And before the Riv-Nut goes in the final time, I actually mixed up a little bit of epoxy that will go around the Riv-Nut, between the Riv-Nut and the carbon, and that will help hold it in place. It may hold in place even without the epoxy, but a little extra will help. So those are the tools. Let's get going. Got to be super careful because the drill bit could slide around. Got the hole so it's just the right size and the riv nut fits in there snug. Now, a little bit of epoxy is going to go around the edge. As well as on the inside. Alright, so using this tool, I just rest the tool down against the riv nut. Okay, now at this point the screw is tightened at the end. So as I compress, as I keep turning the screw, that riv nut will compress inside. Alright, so you can take a look at it. I think I'm going to do a little bit more. And I'm going to go ahead and call it done. I think that's good enough, and I'll stick a tiny bit of epoxy around the edge, being careful not to get any inside the threads. But that will just help it kind of stay in place. So, should be good to go. Cool, if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. Obviously, I'm not a professional, I don't do this all the time, but I'm trying to show how easy it is to do, and that with a couple of the right tools, you can repair your own bike.